That was strange. I came up before you did. It's like, oh, okay.
I was being polite. Ladies first.
Uh,
How's it going, Donna?
It's good. I've been working lots on upcoming stuff, and I rewatched Barry's Thursday Live at 5. Was that not so cool?
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
The triple A's to the triple P's. I love that.
Yeah.
Again, we're not telling anybody until they watch it. But.
Yes. Yeah, we're not telling anyone what it is. So pretty cool segment today.
Yes, an investor spotlight. Students from a few years back. They're very involved with masterminds and other things. They've moved to Halifax. They've got some good stuff going on. I love to see it. I love to see that our students take stuff and spread their wings as it is. And they've hooked up with Kyle and others from our AFS Focus Workshop, which is really cool.
I'm going to butcher it maybe, but Linging. And if I butchered your name, please correct me. It just, but yeah, there's a little Nova Scotia Halifax community building over there. Creative investors.
Doug Robertson's there as well.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
I think we have to go check it out. We should probably go over there. You know, when is oyster season? I think that's when we should go and check.
Focus Workshop in Nova Scotia. Do it.
That would be pretty good.
And you can write off the travel expenses.
Barry, please. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Long time no see.
Can you hear us okay?
Yep.
Perfect.
Great.
Wonderful.
We were just talking about the little community, the little creative real estate investor community you guys are building out there.
Yeah, there's quite a few people that have kind of relocated back here. We've got Doug Robertson, and then there's people who kind of joined through your group. Like I linked up with Kyle there, and we went out and checked out a property. We've been chatting back and forth, so that's been really good too.
Wonderful. Yep, we're talking about coming out, checking things out.
We have some accommodations we could offer.
What a coincidence! So let's start with Ryan and Cindy Duggan.
Yeah.
They have been investors for 5 years.
Yeah, 2005. Officially, I mean, we both owned properties when we were 22. So what's that? 15 years ago. That we had roommates. So I guess house hacking was kind of our first foray, but officially in 2015. So.
And creative, Ryan, was it 2 years ago?
We did, yes. So I did the AFS course in Calgary back in December 2018 before I moved back home.
So you started with the intensive as well?
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
That's Wayne's model too. It's like,
what do we know?
Why people start with intensive? It's so high level, but great, good. And now you're in Halifax, and you did an AFS there.
That's right. Yeah. So we had to get a little bit of an education on how it's structured here. It's slightly different. I think I shared with you that document you had asked for. I think Doug originally had asked for it, but basically the way that it's set up is it's a lease to purchase, not to be confused with rent to own. But basically the terminology within the contract is very similar to what you would see for agreement for sale. It's just structured slightly different in Nova Scotia, but the terms are pretty much exactly the same. So,
okay. The financing structure and pay down is that all similar?
Yep. It's same amortization schedule. We got a pretty good deal on this particular property. So, and the guy isn't in the best of health, so he's not really looking to extend beyond the contract or the first mortgage when it comes due at the end of next year. I guess it's the first of 2022, but the numbers work for us. It's not a very expensive property, so
very cool.
It's only what, 5 years old?
Yeah, it's a newer build. Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning of this. How did you connect with the seller? How did you find each other?
Yeah, so Ryan came back to Halifax after doing the course with you guys. And of course, he kind of got me up to speed with the different strategies and things like that. So we did try a few things first before we ended up finding this particular deal. We did go out and do some lettering in some different communities. The market here is different than it is in Edmonton. So we did get a few calls, but they didn't turn into anything for us. And the areas we were looking in were pretty hot. So I think that's probably why. But then, Ryan works full time and I'm kind of full time in the business. I was home with the baby. And so during nap times, what I would do is I would jump online and just try to see what I could find. And I first put an ad on Kijiji just saying, we're looking to buy houses, any condition, we'll take them off your hands. But I didn't get any hits from that because the strategy isn't very well known here in Nova Scotia like it may be in Alberta. So I ended up just searching and scouring different for sale by owner ads on Facebook Marketplace and Kijiji. And I ended up coming across an ad. It had no photos on it. It was just an ad that said, there's a rental property, great for potential investors. And the guy was looking to sell it through a creative strategy. And that just kind of was a big
silver platter right there. There you go.
Yeah. I was super excited about it. So I wrote him right away. I'm texting Ryan while he's at work. I'm like, oh my God, we may have found something. And so I guess what happened was he was working he had a couple of different conversations going with different investors, but he actually chose to work with Ryan and I because he knew that Ryan and I had actually been educated on the process. So he was, he's done a lot of different deals. He's known in Nova Scotia for having lots of rental properties. But he decided that he wanted to work with Ryan and I because we were familiar with the strategy that he wanted to use. So that was exciting.
So he wanted to use this.
Yes.
Yeah, he was familiar with kind of seller financing, different options that way. But he wasn't really looking for anything. He just wanted to kind of have the property off of his hands because he lives about 2.5 hours away, and he was kind of done with managing the property. And then when we spoke to the tenants too, he was he has a fair in his approach to property management. So he would kind of fix things once in a while, or just be like, you guys get them fixed, I'll take it off your rent type thing, right? But the tenants are locked in for 3 years. Well, that was their original lease, and they're renting it for probably $400 to $500 less than what market value is. But I mean, they're great tenants. It covers the mortgage. There's a little bit of cash flow every month, so we have no problem keeping them in there.
Right.
And then the seller's pain point was that he wanted to sell the property, but in order to break the mortgage, his penalty was going to be so great that it didn't even make sense for him to sell at that point because he'd be out of pocket quite a bit. So that's why he wanted to use the creative strategy as well.
Wonderful. Great. So I love that taking our focus workshop gives you the credibility to go and say, okay, so we can do this.
Yeah.
That's confidence.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of lawyers here that actually do it. I know Kyle, who took your course, he went through a couple different people. And I'm not really sure how he was pitching his idea to the lawyers, but they're like, yeah, we don't do anything like that here. But luckily, our original lawyer was familiar with them, and the firm knows what they are. Again, they're not that popular, but I think with mortgages coming due and the deferrals coming due, it might be a strategy that even right now the market's hot. As it starts to cool off, more people might be open to it rather than potentially going into bankruptcy or losing their homes. I mean, not to take advantage of them, but I feel like it is a win-win, and you're helping them out in that situation, right? No one wants to go bankrupt, so.
No.
And what kind of terms did you guys get? Like, do you guys want to talk about the details of the deal?
Yeah, we can. So right now it's a 2-year term because he wanted out and we were okay with it. So we took a little bit less there, but he came down on the price. So we got in for no money down, which was really big. The property, I think the tax assessed value is 220. We got in for 212. And right now, based on the market, it's probably 250, 260. Maybe, I would say, yeah.
And it's only going to go up. The market here is really, really hot right now.
So, and where it is there's a brand new connector road that's being built about 3 or 4 minutes down the road, which is going to cut people's commute time off to one of the major centers for industrial work. It's basically kind of our Nisku. It's going to take people's drive that now could be up to 45 minutes down to probably 10 or 15. So, and there's a brand new shopping center right next to it. There's schools, hospital is right down the street. So it's a great location. So.
And I missed it. Did you guys put a down payment down or?
No, it was zero down.
Zero down?
Yeah.
Wow.
So his penalty must have been pretty crazy for him to drop the price and have that built-in equity with where the market is for you guys.
Yeah, because I think he owed 160 left on the mortgage. He would have had his realtor fees and stuff as well, but to break his mortgage was quite substantial. I'm not sure if it was tied into anything else or not, but yeah.
I think I remember him saying it was either 16 or 18,000 to break the mortgage because of the terms that he signed. Because whatever mortgage
he had held, when he had held the mortgage for more than, like, it was a 5-year term. There's 2 years left.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was quite substantial to break it.
He signed some kind of deal that gave him like money up front off of something like that, so that he would have had to repay that back if he didn't see the terms to completion. He said it was some kind of mortgage product that he was really not happy with his decision in the long run.
Made sense up front, but
yeah.
In
hindsight, exactly.
He's a builder as well, so he might have used that money for a different property too, right? So.
Yeah.
We actually got a question here, which was actually one of my next questions. Was zero money down in AFS? Yeah, I think you guys called it a lease to purchase, which is a little bit different. But the same concept. But and what is the exit strategy you guys have in mind? I guess, what are you guys doing with it now, and what do you guys plan to do with it in 2 years?
Honestly, I'd like to add it to the portfolio. Just under ours, we talked about potentially JVing it out, so we would stay on as a managing partner. It'd be relatively inexpensive for someone to hop in, just kind of 20% of the equity, just so we can pull a little bit of money out, have the JV be the qualifying partner as well, and jack up the rent. Because I mean, right now it's at $1,200, and it's a duplex, so side-by-side duplex. It's all above ground. It's built on slab. 3 bathroom, 4-bedroom, and yeah, it's 212, and it's all new. I mean, some of the stuff is builder grade, but it's quite high quality. So
the other side of the duplex actually has a in-law suite in the basement, and they just passed some new regulations here, not last week, but the week before, for suites, basement suites, and garage suites, similar to Edmonton. So there's the opportunity that we may be able to put a suite in the basement as well, which would up the value as well. So that's something that we're kind of tossing around. If we're able to get the permits and stuff for that, maybe something that we'd look at doing in the long run.
Very cool. Very cool. And you said the market is going up in that area. Like, are you guys seeing a steady growth?
Yeah, we've had, I think last report I saw was 9.6% appreciation over last year. Yeah, so everything kind of right after COVID, the COVID restrictions here were much more stringent than they were out there. as soon as July 1st hit and they were allowing people to go out and see homes, stuff was selling. We went and looked at a property. It was listed at 335. It went for 375, like just way over ask in a lot of the areas right in around Halifax. One thing, and it's similar to Edmonton, as you get to the outskirts, the costs of property go down, but it goes down quicker. So from the downtown core here, where you'd see similar prices to what you would see in Edmonton, to only 20 minutes outside of town, you'd see a significant drop. Where in Edmonton, you're half an hour in 45 minutes. I go to Stony Plain, things like that, right? So you're seeing that drop sooner here. But overall, the costs of properties have gone up, and days on market has gone way down. So
yeah, stuff is selling almost the day it hits the market if you can't get out to see it. Even our realtor was saying to me that, putting offers in on properties, you're competing with 40 other offers.
Oh, wow.
So we're in a position now where we're just, at the advice of our kind of support team, that we're just staying back and riding the wave out for now before collecting any more properties, and just working on doing some work around the properties that we own for now.
We keep hearing people saying, my market's too hot. Does it work in a hot market? Does it work in a market like this? And this is just a great example that you just need to focus in on solving a problem. That person had a problem.
Yeah.
Had he sold with a realtor, he would have paid how many $1,000? With $30,000
between realtor and its mortgage. Yeah. And that's exactly. The thing is, one thing that's a little bit different here too is we have it's like an MLS, but it's called Viewpoint. Mm-hmm. So you can actually go on to Viewpoint and look at the sales history of any property. So if you wanted to see what your neighbor's house sold for, you could go look at the previous listing. And as long as it's within 10 years, you can look at the photos that were there. So people are a little bit more educated on what their properties are potentially worth in that regard. Mm-hmm. So like when we were doing the mailers, we would go to like homes that were in pretty bad disrepair, like the roofs needed to be done, the windows all need to be done, just from your visual kind of inspection. And you get on the phone, they're like, well, I looked on Viewpoint and I know the neighbors' houses are selling for this price, so I probably want to get that. I'm like, well, did you look at the photos? Like, they're all redone.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'd be close. So just that's something that's slightly different here too. There's, I don't want to say less need for the realtors for the CMAs, but people do a little bit more of their own research because they have that tool available to them.
I guess that could be really good and really bad.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's what's the industry, other than the obvious? What's the industry in your area that's supporting the jobs?
Tech is really big.
Yeah.
So there's a big tech industry. There's we're sitting in a downtown, and I can see 2 hospitals, 3 universities. So there's a lot, like the downtown area, there's a lot of that. And I mean, import export was obviously huge. We've got the documents here.
Irving Shipbuilding was awarded some major contracts through the Canadian government. I can't remember how long ago that was.
Yeah, it was originally a $25 billion contract for shipbuilding, and they've only gotten more contracts since. Yeah. So, and there's a pretty big military presence here as well.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
And so the rest of your business, you guys are mostly focusing on Airbnb, right?
We're about half and half. So we've got a total of 10 units. We're actually living in one of our rental units right now. We've got 4 on Airbnb and 5 as long-term.
The one we're sitting in right now is an Airbnb. Ryan was here doing some repairs, so I had to meet him down here to get him on video.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. The downside of Airbnb sometimes is you have some guests that cause a little bit of damage, but in the long term, Airbnb is really good to help us out. And the amount of cash flow that you get on a short-term rental kind of negates these little things that you need to do once in a while. So I had actually taken vacation this week to tidy up the yard and get prepared for winter. COVID, I can't go anywhere. We're actually supposed to be coming out to see our Alberta mastermind there at the end of this month, but we have to quarantine. If we leave the Atlantic bubble, we have to quarantine for 2 weeks. weeks. So for us to go out there for 6 days would be a 20-day vacation, or 14 of that we sit at home locked in our house. So.
And with a baby, that's not fun.
No. I have a question. How do you guys, like, what's the biggest determining factor for deciding whether to turn a unit into Airbnb versus long-term rental?
A big part of it for us is location. Yeah. So this property that we're sitting in right now, it's a triplex property, and it's sitting like really right downtown. It's walking distance to everything. It doesn't have parking, which, a lot of people, when they come into town, they might have a vehicle or not, but at least this way they can walk everywhere. And then the other property that we have is 2-unit property, and that has 1 unit on Airbnb, and we're living in the other unit as of right now, because we're kind of hoping at some point in the future we can find our forever home. And then at that point, we may choose to convert the one we're living in into an Airbnb as well. But a big part of it is just like general location and, suitability for the platform, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, the biggest factor for me when I go into it is just making sure that it's all the numbers that we run are based on long-term. So I don't get into a property that your long-term plan is short-term rental if you're basing it on the cash flows that your short-term rental is going to get you, because nothing's guaranteed. Like this year, COVID. I mean, we lucked out. We had some longer-term rentals in our short-term units, but I mean, if you were running all your numbers based on what you would get on a typical Airbnb, there's some properties that you could get into that you're not even going to cover the mortgage if you're trying to rent them out long-term. So.
Right. Especially with the prices of properties in the downtown core in Halifax right now, if you were to pick them up for long-term rental, it just wouldn't make sense. Like, you're looking at $1 million+ for a property. Now, we're lucky the property that we bought, when we bought it, we got it for just under.
The suspense. Oh, the suspense.
So
Who's frozen? Oh, it's them.
it's Cindy and Ryan. So interesting, though. There they are.
We're waiting to find out how much the property cost.
Sorry, you just. Okay, we're all back. We paid $565 for it, and then we furnished it. So we actually got it. We did a refinance on it just a year later, just because we were moving some money around, and it actually had gone up $110,000 in a year. So that was pretty nice.
No renovations.
Yeah, we didn't do anything other than there was student rentals in it before, I think, in at least 2 of the units. So it didn't show very well. And then when Cindy did all the decorating for Airbnb, when we had the appraiser come in, so we had 2 appraisers come in. We had one for market rents, because you can't, they won't take short-term rental numbers. So you have to have furnished rental numbers.
The bank won't take.
To provide the bank market rent numbers. So we did that. And then we had an appraiser come in to give us the value of the home. So it was, I think we paid $565, and then it appraised at $670. So,
nice.
Wow.
And it was exactly a year, well, just under 11 and a half months. So take that.
Oh, that's great.
A little better than Alberta.
Still the property's there too. So
yeah.
With the market like that, and with you guys kind of sitting back on acquiring, on purchasing, do you think that you'll look for more opportunities for creative?
Absolutely. That was one of the biggest things I had actually been discussing with Kyle was, I think right now everyone's just kind of waiting till the dust settles here with deferrals and things like that. But I mean, like everywhere, there's a lot of people that aren't back to work yet. So I don't know what kind of relief there is going to be for those people. But I think having something that catches their eye, like even if it's just an ad on Facebook or Kijiji or just groups like this where maybe somebody knows somebody else, hey, this guy's in Halifax and he's on the verge of losing his house. Do you think you guys can help them out? And I think there's certainly going to be an opportunity for that. And yeah, the hot market, like a lot of people are just like, oh, I'll just sell my house, right? Well, yeah, you might just sell your house, but what you're not considering is your mortgage. The banks aren't going to forgive your interest differential if you're locked into a fixed rate, and you're still going to have to pay your realtor fees. So you could be upside down. So this, like an AFS is, I feel it's a good win-win for a lot of people. They're not aware of it necessarily. So
education, right? I mean, I wonder. No, never mind. I had a thought, but I completely forgot it. Yeah. Donna, actually, a minute ago, you were saying something, and then it came back in. What were you?
The lease to purchase aspect. Do you have the tax side transfer piece, title transfer piece?
Yeah, we do. We have land transfer, so that will come into place when upon the
completion of the sale.
Okay.
That's 1.5% of the value of the property, so it is pretty steep.
It's a big part of the closing costs here, that you have to consider.
Okay, but I guess because it's a lease to purchase is how you would get away from that. In BC, you have to pay it at the beginning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So okay.
So yeah, here we were able to avoid that. It's paid upon completion of the sale. There is a note in that document. I can share that with you again if you like, Donna.
Yes, please do. And maybe the name of your law firm as well.
Sure. Our lawyer actually retired during COVID. He was out of the office and he's like, I could get used to this. So he was pretty much on the cusp. So he sent me an email saying that he was done. But the other guy that's at the firm, there's multiple lawyers at the firm. It's Cox and Palmer. They're a pretty big firm here. So they're well aware of the strategy. So
it's those old lawyers, isn't it? Older lawyers, more experienced lawyers. It's just more experienced lawyers.
Did you say?
I don't think as much experience as Barry. So.
Right. Yes.
Did you say how you found the lawyer to work with?
Our realtor actually had linked us up with them originally when we purchased the place that we're in now, and I came back to sign the paperwork for this place. And when we were sitting in the office, I said, I took a course on agreements for sale. Are you familiar with them? And he's like, yeah, I've done a few over the years. He's like, we have to structure it slightly different here, but I'm very familiar with the concept. So I just kind of struck up the conversation at that time. So
we were planning for the future, and we wanted to make sure that whoever we were working with knew what strategies we were looking to implement. And then we were able to take the documents that Ryan got from the course, bring them in and just go over them with him so that then he could take that and then blend it in to make a document that was ready to go for us to use in the future. So
beautiful.
See Shelly's question. I don't know if we addressed that or not, but
very cool.
Shelly's question?
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna. Shelly asked, the biggest challenge I run up against is people still want their full equity out. How do you manage that?
We didn't run into it with this last particular one, but in working with Andrea, one of the biggest things that she kind of talked about is just kind of walking it back. So if your house is worth, say, $250 and you only owe $200, so they're thinking, well, I have $50,000 in equity. Well, yes, you do, but have you considered the realtor fee? Have you considered this? Have you considered that it's going to take X amount of time on the market to sell? You've got mortgage payments of, say, the next 3 months. So you kind of walk that down. And what you're doing is you're getting them out of that property now. All right. So there's a bunch of different things you kind of work through to say, okay, so the true amount of equity you have isn't 50,000. Maybe it's this 25,000 after we look at everything. You're going to avoid all these different fees. How much do you need now versus how much can you wait for? Is the biggest thing. And there's going to be some people that don't see that. It's just the way that it is, right? It's like, no, I want my $50,000. Well, unfortunately, I don't necessarily think we can work together at this time.
The other thing that she says too is that she's going to have to borrow the money, and she has to pay an interest rate on that borrowed money. And if she has to pay that interest rate for over the course of the period of time, then she's going to have to charge that and take that off of the sale price of the house now in order to be able to afford it. So she'll calculate that out too, as well as another avenue.
And sometimes, I mean, if they want their $50,000, well, why would you give them $50,000 when you could use $50,000 for a down payment, and now you have access to however many houses that are in that price range, right?
As an investor, yeah.
And a lot of times you can find a better deal too. Like if I'm going to tie up a mortgage and pay cash, I'm going to get a deal. I'm not going to pay market value.
Versus allowing the property to appreciate over 2, 3, 4 years, whatever the terms of your deal is. And then you hopefully can take that property on at the end of that agreement that then allows you to get in without paying that 20% down because you've got the equity position in the property.
Smart stuff.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
So it's so apparent that you work with Andrea. It just flows, doesn't it? It just like
she's
exactly.
She's pretty great.
She's a very, very big part of our success. So
that's awesome.
Brilliant.
If you've been through a course or two, like many of us have, you like listening to you guys, I can see and hear Andrea saying it like that.
And just write it down on a napkin type thing.
Yeah. Awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. So you guys aren't going to be buying anything in the near future, but what's next for you guys? What are you guys working on?
We're actually, our biggest goal right now is to try to get into our forever home. When we came home, we were hoping to get into it kind of right away, but things kind of got readjusted. I mean, I started a whole new job. Cindy's currently running the business. We've got an 18-month-old, so just kind of reset. Not to say that if we did find the right deal, like if we could partner up with something on an AFS that had the right terms that made sense, we'd certainly look into it. But for right now, we're aiming to get into our own place right now. But
we're laser focused on the vision of what we're looking to create for our own personal home, that it's like it's so clear on what we want that we're trying to kind of really zero in on that right now. And of course, that's going to have a rental in it.
Yeah, there's going to be it'll be a suite of property
because we're investors and everything.
So we took our equity from our own home in Alberta, like our personal home, and use that to get rental properties here, just to have a base, to have that second and third flow of income. So we're not worried.
And that's what we're living off of, is the income coming in from our Airbnbs and stuff like that. So it just allows us to have a really cushy base for us to not be stressed about our financial situation. It's really provided us some financial freedom.
Yeah, it's allowed Cindy to stay home with Ellis for the first 18 months of his life, which is huge. He's in daycare today. We don't just have him over here. So
very quiet.
But, no, it's been quite rewarding, and I do foresee this to be our long-term goal for financial freedom, is continuing with real estate and just some other aspects too. Doing some creative financing where we're providing the financing through our RSPs, things like that, to try to get a little kicker that way too. So we don't have our money locked up doing absolutely nothing. So
very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
I like this. I like this a lot, and I love that you touched on focus. It's all about focus. That's the only way you're really going to get what you want, right? I love it.
Yeah.
Donna, did you have anything else?
I'm good. I'd love to talk to you guys some more. Maybe in a little while we can have you on again and explore maybe Airbnb a little more deeply, and then other adventures that you have going on. Like once you're in, right? So you guys are in. Sorry.
No worries. We love it. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, we're always open.
Wonderful. Okay, I have nothing else. Wayne?
No, I think I asked the question, and I'm kind of excited to ask more about Airbnb too, because it's one of those exit strategies we don't really touch on too much, and which is a great strategy if you got a good location, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
And if anyone sees this and they want to reach out, by all means, we're available for that too.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, well, we actually, I get to have lunch today. Yay.
Yay!
Well, enjoy.
Thank you guys so much for taking time.
Okay, see you guys.
Good seeing you.
Bye.
Cheers. See you guys. Bye-bye.